Hello and welcome to a very, very special episode of the Successful Mentalist podcast. It's somehow episode 53, and that has somehow ended up lining up to our 1 year birthday. I don't know how this has happened. There's 52 weeks in a year, and somehow the 53rd episode is the 1 year birthday. Who knows what's gone on there? But my name is Aidan O'Sullivan, and I'm joined with my very good friend and co-host and all sorts of other stuff. Insert words here, Ashley Green.
Woo! Happy birthday to us! Happy birthday to us! Happy birthday, happy birthday! We are TSM, and carry on listening to this podcast till the end and make sure to follow, subscribe, share with your friends and all of that jazz. Happy birthday to us! Hello, guys.
I don't know whether that was just awful or fantastic. I'll be honest, but we're wrong with it. I mean, this is a really kind of strange episode. It's a bit surreal, if I'm honest. A year ago, when we set out to, like, so much has changed in a year, but a year ago we set out to put together all of the information that we know, we're learning, we're doing, and actually taking action on ourselves and sharing this with the community at large. And like, way back then, we had no idea that TSM would grow to the level that it is.
It's insane. It's insane. Like, honestly, I'll bring you guys into something interesting. TSM started as an idea. Me and Aidan went to each other. Should we hop on and do an Instagram live stream just to answer a few questions from some magicians? And we went, yeah. And there was massive troubles with Instagram. We couldn't actually get on, so we decided to do it as a pre-recorded YouTube video. It was like a 2-hour video, and like 40, 50 people were like, yeah, no, this is actually really valuable advice. And we sat there and went, why don't we do this more? Screw it. Should we do a podcast? Should we start a podcast? And the podcast started, Aidan. Oh my God, do you remember some of the early episodes? Some of the most cringiest, and I'm going to say it, like, we are, 2 minutes into this podcast already. We started recording the most convoluted setups, and I remember, like, our second or third episode, Aidan was on Instagram to the fantastic mentalist Timon Kraus, and he was like, hey man, just about to record a podcast, have a look at this to block sounds, I've got a SpongeBob duvet behind me. We just did not give an absolute damn about anything, and we thought we was absolutely amazing. And honestly, looking back at some of those old episodes, oh my gosh, I laugh at myself so much. We look so silly, and it's strange to hear how we've changed in terms of how we present, how we actually engage with people. Like, all of this is like crazy, but the journey we've gone on is so much fun, and it's been insane. It went from an Instagram live stream. TSM went from an Instagram live stream to now being in, 86, 87 countries. With a podcast, an actual company, a team behind us. We're doing lectures. We've got our own social network. We've got courses. We've been coaching. We've been consulting for people. I've been chatting to people about their TV projects in other countries. Like, excuse me? This started as a silly little live stream that we wanted to do, and it's grown out of proportion beyond our wildest dreams. Insane!
I just want to I want to reverse all of that and go back to that SpongeBob duvet thing. That SpongeBob duvet is currently right on the bed right now. I love it. Don't even care.
Some things never change, do they?
A 1 year, I put it on there specifically for the 1 year birthday. That's what I'm going to lead you all to believe anyway. But to be fair, maybe if we find out the photos and stuff, we'll whack them on the socials of like the terrible backdrops. Honestly, it was a case of like, it took us about 3 hours to record a 20-minute podcast that was never aired because it was just awful. It was
carnage.
It was
We
terrible.
had to stop and start about 50 times during it. Absolute carnage. But you live and learn, and it's a beautiful lesson for you guys to remember. If you suck at something, don't worry. We sucked at doing podcasts, and we did it because we enjoyed it. And because we enjoyed it, we had that motivation to go through. We had that drive, and we was like, yeah, we're doing this for fun, and we still are. And that's why I think we've stuck this out for a year, and we've taken on so much more. Like, does it feel like work to you, Aidan? Doesn't feel like work to me. This is fun. This is play. This is something that is enjoyable. It's so beautiful.
It really is. It actually reminds me of an Alan Watts quote. Actually, the quote actually being quite simply, "This is the real secret of life: to be completely engaged with what you're doing in the here and now, and instead of calling it work, realize it's play. And that's what we've done. We're bringing ourselves back into this present moment, and actually, like, this is an opportunity for us to connect with, well, each other on a subject, like in a way that we don't usually do outside of these podcasts, but also connecting with our listeners and realizing that all of this, at the end of the day, like, we're faffing around doing magic tricks for people in exchange for, like you really want to boil it down. We're doing tricks for people to help entertain them. That's the core of everything that we're doing. So we've just got to make sure it's fun, and it really is. It's so much fun. It's been a journey, and it's just starting.
Okay, so here's a question: what's the one thing you've enjoyed most over this past year? The one thing you've enjoyed most, and then I want to lead that on and talk about something really interesting, because we can't do a TSM podcast without talking about something we've learned and going deep into your mindset stuff and maybe sharing some stuff my end. We can't do that, so we're going to dive into that naturally. But what's one thing you've enjoyed over the past year? One change, one specific thing?
You know, I think what's really profound is actually the fact that since we started getting accountable to, like, this podcast and to TSM overall, to the fact that we're going to share the information that we're learning with the full knowledge that we are not the best in the world at this. Like, when we started, we were trying to help you guys as listeners become better performers and better at your entertainment business and all of that stuff, and precisely 0% of us, that's me and Ashley, because there's two of us here, we've not been full-time. We've not been full-time performers. We've just been sharing with you the tools and the techniques that we've been learning. So actually, from my perspective, the really big thing is actually the fact that we went into this blind, knowing that we weren't the best, but the fact that it's kept us accountable to a consistent learning. Every week, we're showing up to deliver an episode of information and resources and ideas and approaches and thoughts and philosophies and all of this stuff that we would never have even had we would have never solidified this had we not have had a platform and a public accountability. Like, the amount we've learned just by doing this podcast alone, it's profound.
That reminds me of something: when you teach, you learn a second time.
Well, it's completely true, and I feel like in our case, like, we've been learning it a second, third, fourth and fifth time. It's honestly, it's crazy. Like, I genuinely feel that I'm not just a better performer since we started TSM because we've been sharing this and learning from you guys as the listeners as well. That's really important. I don't want you to think that this is all our doing. Like, the fact that you're listening to this, you're jumping in and supporting us, whether you've bought a lecture from us or you've jumped on one of our courses or even applied for our big Learn to Thrive 7-week coaching program, regardless of whether you're there or you're just following us on social media or listening into these podcasts, we are learning from you so much, and more than I think you'll ever actually realize.
Yeah.
But for me, it's that constant learning, the fact that we're having to improve ourselves so that we can share that with the audience, and the fact that as a result we're having to learn more and we're having to look at bigger, more complex subjects and really apply them into magic, do it for ourselves so that we know we can actually share it and it works. It's been a really crazy journey.
It really has, and that learning is something which we have had to keep up, and it's just, honestly, you guys have helped me so much. All of you listening right now, whether you know it or not, as Aidan said, you've genuinely helped me go so far in my career. Like, you look at me a year ago compared to where I am now, so much has changed. You guys, if you've listened to the podcast, you would have heard a lot has changed in my entertainment career, especially if you listened to the episode 2 weeks ago, talking about kind of that hustle culture. You know what I'm currently doing, and it's a direct result from learning this, tips from Aidan, other things that we've been learning and looking at, and it is just beautiful. But I suppose this does bring us on to the point, Aidan. The business. I said I'm going to bring it back, and I said we've got to do a TSM podcast, at least covering something. It's the way we always go. And I know whatever I say, let's talk about sales, marketing, I know it's going to end up as mindset. Of course it is. How has the business changed for us over this past year? Because a lot has. What would you kind of summarise it and say is like the one defining thing that has really changed, helped us, maybe the struggles that we've had going through?
Ooh. That's a great question, and that's a great question because there has been so much. I think for me personally, across my entertainment business, I think the really big thing is actually I'm now much more clear in terms of what I want and what I want to do. I now know where I'm going, and as a result of that having that vision, that clear direction of what I want, I'm actually building my entertainment business to suit that need, rather than just doing everything that I was, like doing the weddings and the corporate events and the birthday party. Like I was that guy, and now I'm quite clear in that. No, I'm quite comfortable just doing public stage shows.
Yeah,
and maybe the occasional wedding for people that hear of me then, but I'm not going to go and actively seek all of that stuff.
What did I say? This would boil down to mindset at the end of the day, wouldn't it? I said it, and we're there.
Well, it's much bigger than that. It's like, honestly, I think everything that we've shared. Like, let's genuinely look back at some of the episodes. In fact, I'm going to pull up the list of all of the episodes right now. We're going to go through them, every single episode. We're going to read it out loud. Again, if you're new to this podcast or you're recent to the podcast, it might be a great opportunity to check back in with some of our other episodes. But episode 1, we actually shared our origin stories, how we got into this Magic Mentalism game. From number 2, we actually shared a bunch of principles to actually move from Magic into Mentalism, or more into Mentalism than you are right now. Episode number 3 was why Mentalism. Actually, why do you want to do this in the first place, and getting clear on that why. Number 4 was choosing your tricks and how to actually pick the right tricks for your performances. Number 5 is who are you? Who are you as a performer, as a character, as a person? Then we moved into your online presence at number 6. Number 7 was failure. We had our first guests, Colin and Chloe Cloud, as episode number 8. Number 9 was online shows, an overview of, well, online shows really. Back on the 5th of July that launched. Wow, that's amazing. Number 10, we looked at close-up residencies. Number 11 was stage shows. 12 was, we had a second guest, Caroline Raven, which was, again, another fantastic episode. And already we're just 12 episodes in, and we've looked at performance craft. We've looked at specific technique for loads of different type of genres. It's honestly, from there, of all of that, which was your favourite episode?
Oh, you know I'm going to say it. Why Mentalism? It used to be the one I call back to all of the time in every single episode.
I'll be honest, it's because it's so fundamental, right? It's the reason we do everything. From there, we looked at like psychological and psychic characters, 2 different episodes there, 13 and 14, deconstructing our characters and our approaches to actually doing that. Number 15 was revealing information, where there was a toolkit of approaches on how to actually reveal information. Like, we get the information, cool. What do we do with it? Number 16, we had Dan Sperry, again, one of my favourite performers of all time, but we had Dan Sperry. And then we chunked it into a month of creativity. We had episode 17 was actually a masterclass in understanding creativity. Number 18 was creativity in your presentations, in terms of the way you present your magic. Episode 19 was creativity in your business. And then we finished that with Tom Elderfield, the absolute creative genius behind the scenes of some of the biggest TV magic shows today. Like, I mean, the list goes on, Ashley. Like, there's so much there. And everything has all dialed back into that real belief of, like, I know what I want to do because I've learned all of this stuff, because we've shared all of this stuff. But it's phenomenal.
Yeah. And being able to chat with some of the amazing guests we've had on the podcast, going from non-magicians like public speakers like Eric Edmees, Rian Doris, to magicians like Dan Sperry, DMC, and Colin and Chloe Cloud. Like, it's so interesting to pick their brains, actually find out the deeper reasons behind why they do what they do, actually look beyond the tricks, beyond the magic, and start exploring their thought processes. And from there, this past year has been real learning from some of the greats like that. And I'm so grateful that I've had the opportunity to learn from these people during a podcast. It's insane. But of course, this year, we have personally been through a lot of improvement. You know, we've said we've improved quite a bit. We've done various different things. But it's actually all stuck within the TSM ethos, hasn't it? We've been improving personally our business. We've been improving personally our mindset. We've been improving personally our performance. It's funny I mentioned performance and I muck that one up. Kind of ironic. And we've personally been improving our health. Like, we're not just spouting this information saying, oh, the TSM podcast is about business, mindset, performance, and health because it sounds cool and no one else is doing it. Like, no, this is a deep found thing that we believe in, we are doing. So maybe it'll be cool. And I just want to throw it out there. What's one business thing you've done, improved this year? What's one mindset thing, one performance thing? And what's one health thing which you think has been an unlocking factor? And then maybe after that, ask me the question and I'll share some of my things. I think it'll be really insightful because we teach and we preach about this stuff, but we never explain what's actually going on in our bodies, what's actually going on in our own shows. And I think this will be really insightful for people listening, especially on this kind of informal episode.
Yeah, I mean, that's absolutely a genius idea. I think if I had to really quick fire it off, for me, the business thing is actually the power of using a network and the power of word of mouth. That, for me, is an absolute game changer. Without that, I wouldn't be half the position I am right now. Mindset, the biggest thing is actually learning to just understand it, more so than a specific element. Like, there's so many dimensions in mindset that we could talk for ages, but like, for me, I'm a huge advocate, and long-term listeners will know that I'm a huge advocate of having that big, bold vision and chasing that, but actually realizing that that's just one part of a huge puzzle, and understanding and exploring all that for me has been a really big game changer. For performances, well, I've actually realized that from my usual stuff, which was always just shotgunning, trying new things, trying everything, I'm actually now fully aware of what type of performer I want to be. And I'm embedding the things that I want personally and I'm interested in personally into my performances. That is a really big unlocking move for me. And then in terms of my health, I'll be honest, prioritizing it. Absolutely prioritizing it more so than anything else. It really is. And you can start to notice an overlapping theme of everything there. It's actually driving the awareness towards the important. And that is, for me, the biggest key of anything. Awareness to the important so that you can take intentional action and doing the right thing. That's what I'm doing. That's where I'm at. And it's a massive, long journey to go, right? It's still just the start. But yeah, that's really the big four for me. But I'm really curious.
Yeah, and I bet because, well, before we jump on to me, I've got a question. I bet because of all of that, because of everything you've learnt and kind of put in place, you feel happier with what you do. You probably have a clearer path to get to where you want to be. You know exactly how to get the gigs you want. You know how to run your other businesses in the ways that you want. Heck, you've got other businesses now, which is insane to think about, which a year ago you was just like, hey, I'm a wizard. I do this. And now you've evolved and grown so much. And it's really because of those four pillars and the deep dives into those specific areas you mentioned?
100%. It really is. It's just working out. I think it goes even beyond business, mindset, performance, and health. I think the real overlapping theme is coming to terms and understanding and learning more about myself as a person. And I know so many people at this point are going to be like, oh, cliche, oh, stop being all that guy. But it really is. Like, I'm now much more in tune with myself and who I am. And as a result, I know what I want my business to look like. I know what I want my performances to look and feel like. I know how I want to achieve those. I know what I want my health to be like. I actually know what my mindset needs to be like and how to control it. Like, I'm driving the awareness, but that's because that's who I am. That's the real key. And again, that's the one big takeaway from me. If I could share one piece of advice that I've learned in the past year with anybody else, it really is just get in touch with who you are and prioritize that at all costs.
Deep inner understanding. Beautiful. Oh, I love that. Good day, everyone. It's Ashley here from the Successful Mentalist podcast, and I'm just sneaking in mid-episode to tell you about something super awesome that we are doing because it's our birthday. We are 1 year old, so we've decided to put a little discount over on the TSM store. You would have probably heard that for the past a few months now, we've been doing monthly lecture series called All About the Tricks. They've been a great success, and they're over on our store, allaboutthetricks.com. However, because we are 1 year old, I promised a discount, we have bundled up our first 3 lectures. My Hand Stick, Aidan O'Sullivan's Witch Hand, and Tahar Mansour's Multiple Paths System. Usually, all those 3 lectures together would come to £119, but up until the 17th of May, there's a little discount, and you can grab them for just £75. So we've slashed the price all the way down from 119 to just 75. And if you want to pick up those awesome lectures, just head over to allaboutthetricks.com. That's allaboutthetricks.com. I hope you have fun with your new awesome lectures. And let's get back to today's awesome podcast.
Yeah, I mean, totally. But I'm really curious because, we've not had this conversation, so I'd love to know. Business, mindset, performance, and health, Ashley. Which one of these, first of all, have you found to be the most profound transformation? Which has transformed you the most?
So basically, I'm going to be honest, I've learned some incredible things. I've been going over to Illusionist's website and buying these fancy gimmicks and spending hundreds of pounds. No, of course I haven't. I've not been spending any of my time on any of that BS. In fact, over this time, I've learned, in the past year, I've learned one trick. I think I've bought 1 or 2 tricks, Aidan, which, for me, an understanding that we don't need to buy stuff, but I don't really want to pin that on, that's the one transformative thing that I've learned, because we all know that it's a silly little thing. Let's start with business. We mentioned this and we touched on this in the episode 2 weeks ago, I believe. What was that, episode 51? Where we talked about hustle culture and why you don't need to put in 1,000,001 different hours a day, and you don't need to be busy and busy and busy, keep doing and grinding and working, in quotation marks, hard and hustling, in quotation marks. You don't need to do that. That's been a really unlocking factor for me, and finding ways to do that. Bringing on a team, getting a support network, people that can actually help, so that when I'm doing something, whether it be paperwork, whether it be sales calls, other people can do it. Actually knowing how to outsource my business and build up a network and team of people that can help me support the business, support the vision, and get it to grow to where I want it to be. I don't think a year ago I could have put together a team. I don't think a year ago I would have known where to start. I don't think a year ago I could have even worked with a robot that understood business, because I would have been like, where do you start, Mr. Robot? I would have had no idea, but it comes from, and I think this is the learning along the TSM journey, the chats with incredible people, throughout, which occasionally we name drop. But all of those and all of that advice I've been learning has helped and developed a business to something which goes beyond just, I'm a magician, I do a couple of tricks, come book me. It goes beyond that now. It's an actual, correct me if I'm wrong, Aidan, but I know this doesn't really probably mean anything, but my business and entertainment business, it feels like an actual, it is an actual business. I can see the money, I can see the figures, I know how it operates. How it feels to me, which is insane to think. But it's because I've got clarity and understanding and all of that. So I hope that makes sense. But for me, that was the one thing in the business element.
I love that. I think it's really a case of you've gone the trial by fire route, in that you've just lent into to all of this stuff and tried it. And what I particularly love, and it's sprung to mind as you were saying it there, about ownership of the business. Before, way back, you could have said the same thing. You've got ownership of your business. A year ago, you could have said the exact same thing. I've got ownership of my business. But back then, it meant something different. It meant that you were in control of everything because you did everything, because it was all under your control. So you are in control of your business because of all of that. But now you've upgraded that level of control to now the point that you really do have the control, but you've got it from that overarching perspective. You've got other people helping you, you've got systems in place helping you, you've got all of the stuff that you was doing you can now exercise true control of it because you're not stuck in the weeds doing all of that stuff. I think that's a really important point to make. The fact that, yeah, the control, you've still got it. However, you've got a greater sense of it now, just because you've changed the process.
I love that you bring up Austin Netzley's from the company 2X, his book, 6 to 7 figures. You bring up his saying there, get free from the weeds. I love how you sneakily just slipped that in. But yeah, no, 100%. But let's go on to mindset. Your favourite topic, Mr. Mindset Guru. For me, and I think you'll probably agree with this has been really one of just acceptance, understanding, and belief in what it is that I do, really. Belief in myself, belief that I can achieve what I want, and getting out of the preconceived notion, the preconceived ideas, the ideas that are forced upon us, the ideas that are out there in the entertainment industry, like, you must do this, here's fees, here's what fees are like for what you're doing, here's a fee for an online show. Do you remember the beginning of lockdown? I had so many people, I won't go into the details on the TSM podcast, but for those who know, you'll find this hilariously funny. Mainly I'm talking to you, Taryn. We had a big thing on social media, Aidan, and it was all kicking off about my online shows. You remember that? And people will comment on there saying, you're asking £30 for an online show? That's disgraceful. I don't even charge that for a ticket at the Fringe. Whoa, this is so bad. This is unethical. And people were kicking off and like, that's the problem when you start listening to the community. You start building up those BS rules, those bullshit rules, and you start letting out people's other ideas kind of impose on you, like, okay, I've got to be charging like this, I've got to be performing like this, I've got to be doing this. This boils down into tricks. To bring it back to tricks, I know entertainers that go, oh, this is the correct way to do a pass because this is how the grades did it. I'm sorry, what? That makes no sense. So understanding like you can do things your way because your way is what you want to do. Stop listening to other people. And since then, I've taken that advice of what everyone said on a thread saying £30 is too much for an online show, and I've said, up yours is now over £1,000. And having that understanding, like, of I can do what I want and I believe in it. And when you believe in it and when you truly believe it from within, that is a key that unlocks everything. So that's, I don't know, I guess that falls into mindset and a couple of other things as well.
Yeah, I want to ask a question on that, but you're telling me to catching me out using quotes here. The BS rules, the bullshit rules from Vishen Lakhiani's Code of the Extraordinary Mind. That's it, both of us. Look at us. A year ago, we didn't even know what a book was, and now we're quoting them like left, right, and centre. It's fabulous. But like what you say there is really important. That, and again, I imagine that a lot of this has come down to exploring those limiting beliefs and becoming aware of them. Is there anything in particular that you found useful to helping you identify these limiting beliefs or breaking through those or shifting that mindset?
Oh, you know what, Aidan? I don't know. This is a hard question, and if I had to boil it down, it would just be having the courage to do what I want, having the courage to step out into the dark, over the edge, and go, whoa, this is something new. Whoa, and it's really that confidence from within. I remember I was on a podcast. I was a guest interview, really long podcast in some other country that I can't remember where it was, somewhere in Europe. And the guy was talking a lot about various different things. And I would say, for me, it was confidence. And it always has been. In the past, confidence to do certain things, confidence to do a gig. And in this case, it was having the confidence to step out into the unknown and accepting that I need to start doing what I want to do, not what other people think I should do. I don't know if that answers your question, but it kind of feels right at the moment.
No, it really does. It really does. Confidence is a big one because those limiting beliefs, like, all it takes is for you to, take Roger Bannister's 4-Minute Mile. All it takes is for you to see one person or one example of that limiting belief being proven wrong, and then you've got your foot in the door and actually having the confidence to execute upon that. Like, that is a really, really valuable skill, more so than anything. A mindset is a skill.
This is not only directly affected our entertainment careers, like the overcoming those limiting beliefs, but this is directly affected because now we have overcome that. It's directly affected our students, right? These beliefs have like been kind of broken down in our clients and our students, and we've been able to say to them and explain and get them on the same wavelength of putting aside all of those limiting beliefs as well. And we've had fantastic stories from children which we've been coaching, earning more money, doing better gigs than people who are experienced pros, because they no longer have those limiting beliefs of, oh, I'm just a kid, I can't do this. We've had people booking more gigs, the quality of gigs. Like we've been speaking to people as well who have upped their fee massively because they're no longer scared of upping their fee because it's not the done thing for their area or whatever, and then they've succeeded.
So we've spoken a lot at this point in terms of where you've come from business and mindset perspective, partly because that's the real two massive players in the game. But I'm really curious, how have you developed your performances in the last year? What's the biggest unlocking thing that you found in your performance career?
Oh, well, I mean, it's got to be online shows, hasn't it, Aidan? Like, I've been smashing it out of the bag with my online shows, and for me, what's really helped is really that understanding how to actually engage with an audience better through a very difficult medium, which is performing through a screen. Like, I've actually learned how to engage with people properly so that they're captivated, enjoying the show, so that I don't need to just rely on the tricks. I'm relying on all of the other factors within a performance, learning the public speaking skills, learning little hacks, little tricks to, like you say, hack people with those dopamine kicks with music, get people in the right mood, the right sense, get people on the edge of their seats, and using obviously the public speaking skills, especially with that fantastic masterclass from Eric Edmeades, which he spoke about in the podcast interview with him, like fantastic. But using all of that to really engage and captivate. That is some golden stuff I've learned. And you know what, I'm so excited because when I go back to live in-person performances, doing live shows for people in person, I damn well know, because of my experience performing on a medium that so many people struggle with to actually connect and engage with people, I know that I am going to smash it out the bag. Because if I can do it bloody well in a scenario like this, then crikey, Aidan, what is it going to be like in a live show? It's going to be phenomenal, isn't it? So the learning for me how to actually engage and captivate people has been a huge thing to really help with the performances.
Yeah, I think that's really important. Not just a skill for the online world, but it is, as you said, a localized skill for the entire journey within entertainment. And I think that this is something that we tend to stop thinking about.
That's why I say to everyone that they should do online shows, really, to actually practice how to perform well, because it's going to pay dividends in the real world.
Well, 100% is so important. And again, we'll just throw a shameless plug in at this point. If anybody is actually interested in getting started into the online show world and people aren't sure how to do that or what to do, what you need, etc., well, we've got our full Mastering Online Shows course. If you want to head over to, you can find it in the community.thesuccessfulmentalist.com, or head over to the TSM shop. You can actually have a look and find it in there. But yeah, you're right. This is something really, really important. It's skill sets that we can always improve, regardless of where you are. And as you said, training on a different medium, training in a different way. That's great. If you're a close-up worker, it's the same. Like, I'm the same belief in terms of stage performances. I believe that everybody should do stage performances at least once a month. And the reason for that is because it trains up those skills and those attention-grabbing skills in a brand new way, in a new environment. But we've spoken now business, mindset, and performance for you, Ashley. What has the biggest unlocking move for your health been in the last year?
Same answer as you, my friend. I mean, we've been on this journey together, and we've been teaching some incredible stuff through the 30-day biohacking challenge, but learning to prioritize health above all else. I mean, as of recording this, I'm on a little fast, so I've got my bulletproof coffee down there, which I've just finished, and it's fantastic. I feel better, and because I feel better, as we've mentioned, countless other places all over about health, it's had so much of an impact elsewhere. So prioritizing my health has been incredible. But one of the things that really stood out for me is actually meditation. Meditation is something I have to do every single day. I do it twice a day. When I get up, before I go to sleep, and on Sundays, even as much as 4 times. I cannot go through a day without meditation because I feel like I have more time, and I'm a sort of person that if I don't do it, I will get very stressed, very flustered all over the place, and meditation just, it kills that. I'm just so much more just zoned in and just focused, and if there's ever a problem, I'm like, yeah, that's fine. We'll get around it. We'll find a way. Always will. And it really helps with that. Like, that's just an amazing, amazing thing that I now have to do every day. Can't live without it.
Well, 100%. It's such a big player in the whole realm of things. Actually, prioritizing our health in these different ways. It's such an important dimension, and I can safely say that since you started meditating and picking that up as a daily habit, or as a twice daily habit even, or sometimes even a 4 times daily habit, genuinely your ability to manage high pressure situations is just excelled. Like, I've seen it from your shows, actually, while watching backstage and behind the scenes of your shows, but also running different events through TSM and actually all of this other stuff. It's been a profound game changer. But with that said, like, where can other people actually find out a little bit more about this? I think this is a really great leverage point.
Yeah, no, I'm actually really eager, Aidan, to mention this because it's something that you guys have heard, I love. And this month we are focusing all on meditation. We have our 30-day biohacking challenges, and right now we're in the middle of the meditation challenge. So if you head over to community.thesuccessfulmentalist.com, you'll be able to head onto our network, sign up for free if you're not already, head over to the 30-day biohacking circle, and from there you'll be able to watch some of the past recordings and sign up to attend some of our live events, which are just phenomenal. It's absolutely insane, and I am really loving the results that people are having already from this.
Honestly, such a game changer. It really is a habit that, well, again, we're keeping on top of, and we want you guys to do the same, because again, it goes back to that same sort of recurring theme over everything that I shared and everything that you shared as well, actually, in this episode. Ashley, it's coming to terms with that authentic self and becoming more in tune of who you are and who you are becoming. Like, because that's a really big thing. Like, just because you are one person right now doesn't mean you're going to be that same person in a month's time, in 10 years' time. In fact, I don't think you should want to be the same person. But that's a conversation for another time. I'm most certainly sure. But I mean, this has been good. I think it's been a really interesting kind of episode in that we've not actually looked at a fresh new content in that sense. It's just been a good opportunity for us to just check in and share what we've learned and really say thank you to you guys for actually listening to this episode and listening for the past year, or 53 weeks as the case may be.
And I just want to specially say thanks to some of the amazing people in the amazing countries. So thank you to our viewers in Kuwait. Thank you to our viewers or listeners in South Africa. Thank you to our listeners in Ethiopia. Thank you to our listeners in South Korea. Thank you to the amazing plethora. 33% of our audience right now is listening over in India. And thank you to everyone else listening in all the other 86 or 87 countries, whatever it's on now. Massive thank you from the bottom of our heart. Thank you to all of you for making TSM possible. Thank you for letting us come on this journey with you, and thank you for helping us out in our own careers, because as you've heard, we've learnt so much from doing this and actually listening from you guys. There's only one thing to do now, Aidan. Happy birthday to us. Happy birthday to us. Happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday to TSM. I'll see you soon, guys.
Oh, God help me.